number of initiatives, one of which, of course, is that on regional security. Over the last couple of years, we've been engaging on strengthening our bilateral relationship in terms of security, and what the US administration is having in Miami, as you alluded to, is a meeting on security matters that is convened by President Trump. And yes, I have been invited to the meeting.
Has an agenda been set?
No, as I said, it's a meeting dealing with security matters. It's dealing with some of the challenges in the region, and to see how we can coordinate better in relation to those challenges. And this is an engagement that has been ongoing. So, as you asked, yes, we were invited.
Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago are the only CARICOM countries that will be present. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm not aware who is present and who will not be present. I can speak about Guyana. And Guyana has been invited to this meeting, and we will be attending.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister has been speaking in support of Guyana more recently, saying that if anything, any threat coming even from Venezuela were to actualize, that we would stand with you. She made that comment again publicly yesterday at the opening ceremony. What's your thoughts on the Prime Minister's speech in its entirety, as well as that comment?
Well, I'm not commenting on individual speeches and so on. What I would say is that our duty as leaders is to ensure we work hard in the interests of our citizens, in the interests of our countries, and in the interests of the region. And we have inherent responsibility to support each other whenever we come under threat from anyone. So I welcome the support of Trinidad and Tobago and the words of Prime Minister Cameron, reinforcing the fact that Trinidad and Tobago would support Guyana in relation to any threat by Venezuela. But this is Guyana would not sit by if the territorial integrity and sovereignty of any of our state is threatened. We have a responsibility to support each other. That's the responsibility of the Charter.
What's your thoughts on the issues, President, in terms of Cuba? You know, we've seen reports, and Guyana took a very unique position on paying Cubans directly. Do you think that other CARICOM states paying Cuban medical doctors directly? It's a
position?
No, a unique,
unique.
a unique position. Yeah. Do you think other CARICOM countries, because some are facing pressure from the United States, do you think they should kind of mirror that model?
So the model that Guyana took is one in which, listen, the health sector in the region has challenges. We need workers. And if the Cuba workforce can give us nurses and doctors, and we hire those nurses and doctors in accordance with our local labor laws and international labor regulations, and we ensure that they're paid within the laws of our country and under the same conditions as any other worker is paid, that is, they receive their money directly, then I think you meet all the international criteria.
What about Trinidad's refinery restart project? Is Guyana interested in assisting us, and how so?
I don't like how you put it, if you're interested in assisting you. Guyana development has always been tremendously beneficial to Trinidad and Tobago. Long before oil and gas, we are one of your strongest trading partners. Your distributors have very solid ground. Some of your early contractors, I tell you way back from Dipcon and even Ciran Brothers, some of the most transformative projects in Guyana were done by Trinidadian contractors. And when the oil and gas sector started, Trinidad private sector benefited enormously from that oil and gas sector. And we did not have any restrictions on how Trinidad and Tobago participated in the oil sector. So wherever and however we can integrate for the benefit of the region and benefit of our countries, we will do that, wherever and however. But this requires constant evaluation and strategic decisions that are in the interest of our people, in the interest of our country, in the interest of the region, and economically viable.
Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
I'm sorry if I disappoint you, but I don't.
Not at all.
I'm not an angry soldier.
I just have to ask the question. Your response is your response. I report the facts. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
The question about the bilateral, yeah, I have a lot of questions about the energy sector, of Guyana and Trinidad, and position has been painted that that bilateral meeting must only focus on energy. As I said previously, Trinidad private sector has benefited enormously from our energy sector, our construction sector, our consumers, and I think that the bilateral for me must be far broader than energy. Of course, energy is an important component of those meetings, energy that leads to energy security of the region. But for us, food security is a major issue, and us getting our goods into Trinidad without the bureaucracy and without the type of delays that we face. And I believe that the time has come for those barriers, the artificial barriers, to be removed and the bureaucracy to be removed, so that we can facilitate trade in a more efficient way, and we can facilitate the movement of goods in a more efficient way. So I look forward for our bilateral being very progressive and future-driven. How do we expand trade? The fact is that Guyana has had an open relationship with CARICOM. The entire private sector in CARICOM are welcome on the same playing field, like Guyanese, to invest and to work in Guyana.
Have you said that meeting here? Yeah, it's maybe very soon.
I'm hoping that we have established that we have to have a formal bilateral meeting. We have had many discussions here at CARICOM. We were able to talk a bit about how we see the energy sector evolving, the type of relationship that can be built, interconnectivity that can be built. But I think if not in the coming day or days, very soon after.
And tell us from a Guyana perspective, what was the meeting with Secretary of State Rubio today?
I think the meeting with Secretary Rubio was, I would say, very, very positive. I would say it was a very, very positive, and a space in which there were some very deliberate discussions. It was very focused discussions, and the discussions, of course, I think lead to a better understanding of the US positions and the CARICOM position. And what we found was that there was great alignment. There was great alignment in relation to what the Secretary was saying and what CARICOM was saying. We spoke, of course, about Venezuela. I said before, the security challenge that Venezuela posed to us, Guyana, and to the region. We spoke about Cuba, and of course, in dealing with Cuba, it's not a simple issue, but speaking about a framework of which CARICOM could be a part of, that would deal with the Cuba and deal with transitions that are necessary for the people of Cuba and for the development of Cuba.
When you say transitions, you're talking about democratization or humanitarian aid?
Well, I was transition is that's why I use the word framework. So, we spoke about a framework, so it is for us to work out what that framework is. And of course, the region also we spoke about a development pact, a development framework for the region. So the US and the region developing a framework for the future as to what our priorities are, how do we have common grounds on the development front, on the security front. So I would say it was a very, very positive conversation.
And lastly, sir, what's Guyana's position on humanitarian aid for Cuba? Lastly.
So on the issue of humanitarian aid, Guyana's position has always been very clear. And even Secretary Rubio would have alluded to the fact that there is nothing preventing humanitarian aid from going into Cuba. But the challenge that Cuba has is a challenge of power. Where do you store the food if you don't have power and energy to store food and so on?
What if you want to give them humanitarian aid, say in oil? How are they going to get it? Is the US
Humanitarian aid is oil?
so that they can get power.
Humanitarian aid cannot be oil. Oil is an economic commodity. Let me make this very clear. Oil is an economic commodity. We cannot be in a situation where we are looking at oil as a humanitarian aid. Oil has very strict regulations how it is traded, and you don't interfere. You cannot interfere with that. And further, you're aware that our oil is traded through a process.
Thank you.